So just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started this morning, or as we get started this morning, if you want to change to the next slide. And I'll let you take over.
Yeah, sure. So if this is your first TMN Tuesday, welcome. If this is we're in like the 30th now, with this being our third year of TMN Tuesdays. You've recognized this screen as part of our monthly webinar series. Our participants today are not able to unmute or share your video. You do see a lot of folks sharing their video in our panelist section today, as we've got a number of different speakers that are going to share their content with us. But if you're an attendee watching, don't worry that you cannot unmute or share your video. That is on purpose. If you are seeing us move slides and move our mouth but can't hear the words coming out of our mouth, hopefully you can see the screen and you can adjust your audio settings. That happens all the time when you move from a Zoom to a WebEx to a Teams and back and forth again. So please just make sure that you are selecting the right speaker, everything's plugged in. Of course, you can't hear me tell you to plug it in, but hopefully you are reading the screen and getting yourself all set up. Assuming that everybody is set up and trying to expedite this tech intro so that we can get to the content today, we will be using chat for all of our project hosts. Michelle and I will be moderating your chat questions today, and using those questions to prompt during your Q&A section of your presentation time slot. So for our attendees, please help us understand your question, read your question, ask it as intended by using full sentences, full words, no acronyms, and the best spellings you can muster on a Tuesday morning, so that we can get those questions answered as intended. And chat to everyone so that we can all participate in the same conversation. As always, please keep the chat professional and on topic as well. Last but not least, as part of our tech, we still have a help center call phone number that you can use, or a WebEx FAQ page that you can use as well. Today is being recorded, and we'll share today's WebEx presentation on our website, if not this afternoon, first thing tomorrow morning. And again, this can count for advanced training. I didn't update this slide, but we will run about 2 hours today. So this could count for advanced training for our Master Naturalists for up to 2 hours today. All right, with that, Michelle, I'm going to let you kick off the rest of the TMN Tuesday.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a news flash for TMN Tuesdays coming up. While we have you here for October, wanted to mention just a recent development we've had for our November and December. We're going to be moving the November and December TMN Tuesdays over to a new or different, it's not a new, it's just a different WebEx account. And so everybody who has registered already, if you remember this, our TMN Tuesdays have been set up for registration all year long. And you can register for any of the months and that you wanted to. And so everybody that's registered already for November and December, I'll be moving you over to the new account for November and December. And then anyone who hasn't registered yet, just be looking for links on our website coming soon. So again, a reminder or a newsflash, November and December TMN Tuesdays will be moving to a different WebEx account. If you're already registered, I will move you over and send you a message that I've done so. And then new registration links, if you're not registered for TMN Tuesdays in November and December yet, new registration links will be coming on our website. So if you're new and you haven't registered for our TMN Tuesdays outside of today, we'll be moving, or look for the registration links on our website to come. All right, next slide. As a reminder, again, the TMN Tuesdays, our TMN Tuesdays are a series. It's offered the second Tuesday of, generally the second Tuesday of every month. We have a little bit of a move up this month to accommodate our project fair just before our annual meeting that's taking place next week. And then our next TMN Tuesdays will take place November 14th and December 12th. Again, those will be moved to the other WebEx account. So more information to come on those. And as a reminder again, this TMN Tuesday is our exemplary chapter project fair competition. So we have 4 chapters that will be presenting today in the competition. And hopefully these are projects. You will also see these as projects that your chapter can emulate or remaster and reconfigure to put into play in your chapters as well. And also they're all competing for cash awards, project grants in the form of project grants. So first, second, and third place, or the top prizes, will go to the top chapters selected this year, and we'll be announcing those winners at our annual meeting next week. All right. So we've just run you through a little bit of our official opening and program start. Coming up at 11:10 in just 3 minutes, we'll have our Rio Grande Valley chapter presenting their Rio Grande Valley Pollinator Project. And this slide gives you an overview of all of our presentations being given today. We have our Hays County chapter at 11:30, and then 11:50, our Rio Brazos chapter presenting their Brazos River cleanup and camp out and educational extravaganza. And then rounding out our 4 presentations today is the Galveston Bay Area chapter with their Bayside Regional Park, from fish farm to natives. And then just to give you an idea of the run through for today, these 4 chapters will present during their time. So we anticipate keeping on time today, and Mary Pearl and I will be the moderators for today. If chapters go over the allotted time, we will have to cut you off. I'm sorry, and we do need to keep on time today. So each chapter will be presenting about 15 minutes and leaving 5 minutes for questions. And as the question and answer period opens up, we do have a panel of judges on today, about 6 judges joining us to help judge or to be the judges for the project presentation. We want to give our judges the first chance to ask questions of these chapters presenting, and then as time allows, we'll moderate your questions from the chat for these chapters. Again, each chapter will have 15 minutes to present and up to 5 minutes for questions. And if there's a little lull or break, if we end a little early, you'll get a little built-in break. So we will not start the next presentation until its designated time. And then lastly, at 12:30, we will wrap up with any additional final questions. We'll do our final wrap up and closing of the October TMN Tuesday and Project Fair.
Michelle, I have one request before we get into the projects. Will you make one panel member? Will you move one attendee up? Sandy Fleming. Move her from attendees to panelist for Hays County.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, and it's 11:10. So with that, I'd like to get our Rio Grande Valley chapter started. And let's see, I'm gonna help me remember who's presenting.
Sherry.
Okay, I'm gonna make you presenter, Sherry.
You.
Coming your way.
Okay. All right, let me get my screen up. Okay. All right, here I am. Are you ready?
Looks great. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, first off, I'd like to say thank you for letting me take the opportunity to tell you about our group. My name is Sherry Brummett, and I'm excited to tell you about the Rio Grande Valley Pollinator Project, which is part of the Texas Master Naturalist Rio Grande Valley chapter. Last year, I was out tagging and I noticed there was a lack of habitat for the pollinators, which was really concerning for me. I talked to a lot of people in the Texas Master Naturalist area, and they were just as concerned as I was. And talking to the community, it seemed it was obvious that the development in the area was making a difference, and we needed to change that or help that for the pollinators. So the Rio Grande Valley Pollinator Project was formed. And through awareness, outreach, and conservation, we established a conduit to the tools needed to hand out to our family and friends and neighbors so they too could participate in a positive difference for the pollinators. We're pretty excited about that it's taken off so well. We just started this year, so the fact that it's gone as far as it has been overwhelmingly wonderful for all of us. We created the mission statement for our mission, raise awareness across the Rio Grande Valley of pollinators and their need for sustainable native plant food sources in the ecosystem that they thrive in. And that is something that we are making a difference right now, and hope with all the word that gets out that it's going to change the way our landscape looks right now, which is pretty barren. We do quite a few outreach events. We have booths set up. We set them up all throughout the year, and our focus was on education and the significance of the native plants and the milkweed for the pollinators. Some people don't realize what's involved, especially when you heard milkweed is the only plant that a monarch will lay eggs on. And we did have a display there with a plant and a caterpillar eaten away. So it really did give a visual for the people that did come, and that kids really enjoyed that, as well as the adults. They all enjoyed it. But we offered activities and giveaways and resources for local native plants and the nurseries in the area. Susan also gave a little tour, if you can see that. She gave a little tour with the binoculars, and they explored not only birds, but insects and caterpillars and anything on the trees. So it was very well received as part of one of our booths that year, or this year. We're trying to, in our conservation efforts, part of our mission, we're trying to see if we can address the native milkweed shortage and plant shortage. As we started our project, we realized that there was a very low amount of seeds and plants in our area. We thought maybe if we tried to figure out a best growing method to make it faster, that we could help with that. And so far, it has been a very big success. We hope to extend our efforts and establish more beds for more native milkweed seeds and pollinator plants, because we have learned since then that it's best to have plants, other nectar plants around the milkweed as well. So we want to introduce both to the community. Through the diligence of our member, Susan Upton, who's quite active, she applied for a grant that was quite extensive through Monarch Watch, and we received 58 Zytoses milkweed plugs, which we were very excited about. And we planted those across the valley. And it was very exciting to be able to share the knowledge that we learned with all the visitors that were there and all those who came to the gardens. And this map shows some of the areas that we have done. As you can see, it is pretty widespread. The map gives you a visual of how extensive our project is right now, although it does go even further than that. It says Mercedes right here but we have gone down to Mission and all up that way as well. So it has been a very widespread effort, and it's very popular among some of the community members. One of the projects that we had embraced is one in Harlingen, and it really stood out to us as a pollinator group, but also as a TMN group, and that is the Boys and Girls Club in Harlingen. This project was brought to our attention through one of the outreach programs, and Seth Oleander, who donated plants to this project here, suggested that we take a look out there. And when we went out there, Susan championed this effort. She had activities for the kids and giveaways and then refreshments afterwards. And we went out there quite a few times. It was an enlightening experience, and it showed us that there were opportunities throughout the valley in our demographic area. There is a need for this and a want from the kids. What was exciting for us was their enthusiasm and their knowledge of the pollinators. It was just a one-man project before that, and he got the kids enticed in this. Caterpillars abound and butterflies lay their eggs, and they learn so much from all of it, and they're so excited about it. We see junior master naturalists in this program coming out of it, and we hope that that will spread throughout the whole area. Our partnership, has led to many community gardens. I mean, but we have noticed that the community garden that is here in this area needs to be established and help throughout the whole community. We have community gardens that have been abandoned. And this is a vision. We hope that maybe we could help with that area, and the pollinators will have a stopping point throughout the whole valley as they travel, make their way. It's very exciting for us. Also, we realize that many of the communities, they want to help you. They want to be involved in it. And it's been a thrill to be able to facilitate that. Part of our project is participating in a community science, and we do tag for monarch butterflies coming through. We hope to incorporate some more information that has already been captured through tagging. Tagging helps answers questions of where they go and what their timing is and their migration patterns. It's full of information, and we are proud to be part of that project. We will have events throughout the whole valley, and we will invite the community to come along, participate, and be part of it. And we're very excited about it. That's one thing that we've had a lot of response for. Some of our group members are doing ongoing education to better serve the community that we are educating. And through all this expertise, we hope to be able to enlighten a lot more people of all the advantages to the native plants by having them in their area. One of our initiatives was during Pollinator Week with STEC, the South Texas Ecotourism Center in Laguna Vista. And we offered a display with seeds, complimentary wildflower seeds that our member Susan, of course, she's pretty active in our group, had cultivated these seeds, wildflower seeds, for giveaways. And we put up this display, and the display has resources and where the information about Pollinator Week. And it really went over well, so much that we actually were able to convey our message on the local TV station. Ed at the STEC has really been a great partner with us and has shown a lot of people in our area the importance of the native plants. And his facility, or their facility there, is well worth a visit if you haven't been there. It will definitely educate you on the ecosystems of Texas, and especially our South Texas region. Through that, we have had a snowball effect. It has all of a sudden snowballed into so many people interested in what we have through the partnership with STEC and through all our other partnerships. But once we hit the television, it went crazy. So we are trying to manage our inquiries. We have a lot of people asking how we can help them, and we want to help in any way we possibly can. But to alleviate any misconceptions or anything that they may think that we're capable of doing, we have this form we figured that we needed to implement, and it ensures that everyone has their expectations fulfilled. Who's going to water it, who's going to maintain it? Those are questions that we need to always keep in mind. And we're we're always in the process of adding to that and changing that. Okay, so next, we have many media platforms, and we're utilizing Facebook and YouTube channel. The YouTube channel we currently are using is for our past meetings. So if anybody misses a meeting, we do have our meetings on WebEx, which is very helpful for a lot of people who cannot make our meetings. We do have monthly meetings, and it does help to be there. We do have information and sometimes supplies and other things that are at the meeting. But if you can't make it, it's important to know what's coming up and what we have been up to. So our webpage was, all of this, actually, the media was helped by our president. Robert Catane has definitely gone through and helped us all make our way through this media. He is going to help streamline our next media implement. We're going to update and make it look even better. And we appreciate everything that he's done for us, because it's been nice to be able to communicate with the public on what's going on, and they can keep up to date. And our outcomes. Our impact data, we have done 10 projects. Currently 3 of them are in progress. And our outreach events, we've engaged in 8, and we've 550 people we've engaged, and it's been nice to be able to talk to people about our vision. During the events, we have paddle fans, insect hotels, seed discs, and native seed packets, just to name a few, that our volunteers have made or donated their time and the supplies needed for these events. And we're very grateful for everything that they have done. The volunteer hours alone in Texas Master Naturalists is over 900, and the community members, we don't count all their hours involved in it, but they are involved too. So it's been wonderful to see, just in the short amount of time, how much progress that we have made. And I really look forward to the future. Our goals were for promoting the gardens, and emphasis on milkweed through outreach, awareness, and conservation is really key to what we are doing. And that is what we're gonna focus on. We have attempted these gardens to, cultivate the milkweed, the nectar plants for the community. They need shade. If they're new, they have to have shade. And so there's things that we're learning along the way, but we really want to distribute the seeds and the plants to the area. It's very short. Even our local nurseries have a hard time keeping up. And when people ask us, where do I get milkweed? I would like to say, here you go here. And so we always point them to the native growers in our area, and hopefully soon we can give you some of that as well. We would like to adopt a model to share with the other chapters. Our region is very unique. All regions are unique. I shouldn't say our region, but all regions are very unique. In the South Texas area, we deal with all kinds of harsh weather conditions, from extreme rain to extreme drought. So it can go in either direction, and we would like to adopt our model for other chapters to share the information in their area, but adapt the information as far as nectar plants and everything else to what they are doing. Okay, next, we'd like to have a sign, although there are other people in our area that are, I should say, other partners in our area that are doing signs. We would like to do signs too. We would like to put our name with that sign as part of a wildscape initiative I think is going on with the Native Plant Society, and we're hoping to join them as well, and expand, all of our volunteers. Okay, next, the volunteers. We have all this, as a volunteer, what is involved, but we need to let the people know what's the advantages to connecting to nature. The physical activity alone, is just to be outdoors, would make such a big difference. And we are going to offer workshops. A lot of the volunteers wanted the workshops to learn more, And we're going to stay actively involved in all the events that are in the area. And we hope that the community will stay involved with our email subscription to learn about the updates, the meetings, the workshops, trips, and other opportunities. And we'd like to stay and, and you know, well, like the community to come part of it. And our vision is to um, keep up with our partners and let them help us achieve our goals, collaborate with the local officials. Our relocation initiative was launched to relocate milkweed and native plants to other areas in the same, from designated from development areas to the same area, to keep all the natives in the same area, but to not let them go to waste. Our initial costs are substantial, around 630, but we have had plenty of donations from other people, and we are going to start doing fundraising in a lot of the areas as well. And I want to thank all our volunteers who have helped us. Without them, we would be nothing, and I can't even, the joy this has given me, I'm going to cry. I can't even tell you. We want to make a difference, and we hope you will join us. I'm ready for questions.
It's wonderful to see such passion
Absolutely.
for your
Thank you, Sherry.
projects. We have just about 3 minutes for questions, and there is one from one of our judges in the chat that I want to get to first. And judges, panel of judges, please do feel free to unmute and ask your question verbally if you'd like to first. Caroline, did you have a question?
No, I just think she did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, I see one question from one of our judges, Todd, and Todd asks, how many plant species other than zyzotes milkweed did you plant? Can you name a few? And looking for species diversity and pollination in a pollination garden for a variety of pollinators and the plant species they rely upon.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to refer this question to Susan Upton.
Okay.
Susan?
I'll be glad to answer that, Sherry. Great job. Yes, thank you for asking. We have been working with some of our local partners in the native plant industry, and they've been giving us some awesome advice on coupling milkweed with nectar plants. So in our area, we have a lot of mist flower. There's several species. They grow really well. This time of year, we have goldenrod. We also have fiddlewood, pigeonberry. There's a variety of plants that bloom and flower intermittently throughout the entire year because we don't get a lot of cold weather here. As far as milkweed species, Zyzotes is our primary species, and it ranges from deep South Texas, actually Mexico, all the way up to the Oklahoma, just inside the Oklahoma area. It's very common milkweed, Zyzotes, and that is one of the primary plants that we're working on growing and being able to harvest seeds and help the local suppliers with the seed inventory. We have other milkweed species down here as well, like Slim, and so we're venturing into growing those as well.
And if I can add, there are other milkweed that we are trying as well. Milkweed vine is very popular in this area. We know the importance of having more than one milkweed in each garden, and we are applying that as well. We just noticed that Zytoses there were no seeds available when we were trying to get them. So it was getting the plugs from Monarch Watch was helpful, but from that point on, we wanted to see if it was a more chance to get Zytoses in this area. But we do butterfly weed and other as well. I hope that answered your question.
So you kind of segue into another question that's in the chat. So I think you mentioned you used mostly plugs. Did you use seed anywhere?
Oh, yeah, we use seed too, but we had the 58 plugs from the Monarch Watch grant that we used, and then we went from there. And I had harvested some seeds the year before, and then we started planting our own.
Yes,
So
we've also to interject, we've grown about 100 from seed. We've able to actually start them from seed and have them mature into viable plugs. So several of us have feel pretty successful in that arena too.
So we've run out of time, but at another time, I think there are some people in the chat who would love to hear your tips on getting seed to sprout. So
Oh, we have that.
just throwing that out there. We do have to move on to the next presentation. And that is going to be our Hayes County chapter presenting on, sorry, I don't have the title right in front of me. I'm trying to move people. The beautiful, beautiful Hayes County
Activity and coloring book.
Activity and coloring book, yeah.
Oh,
And Jill, let me get you. Let me make you presenter. Okay.
all right. Thank you.
Presenter rate's coming over.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. My team and I are here on behalf of Hayes County Master Naturalists, and we are so excited to share with you our video about our beautiful Hayes County coloring and activity book. Let me get this set up to show you. Right. Perfect.
Beautiful Hayes County is a children's activity and coloring book published in spring of 2023 by the Hayes County chapter of the Texas Master Naturalist Program. This 25-page nature discovery guide showcases 11 Master Naturalist projects across Hayes County. Our children learn ways to appreciate and cherish the natural world close to home. By exploring these parks, natural areas, preserves, and refuges, we bring education and outreach to our families countywide. Hayes County is located in the hill country between Austin and San Antonio. With the past 5 years' unparalleled growth in Austin's western suburbs and along Interstate 35, we've watched the paving over of our wild spaces. Newcomers are unacquainted with the hardscrabble Edwards Plateau ecosystem, its fragile beauty, and our paradox of having to conserve water in our abundant water systems. They're not endless. This book has many uses, all designed to bring the master naturalist message to diverse, densely urbanized, underserved communities in the East and the small communities in the West. Now, let's go to the first of 11 lessons. Through a child's eyes, we're here in historic Stagecoach Park in Buda. First, let's go out into nature with this child-friendly guide to the site's features. We help children know something special to watch for at the site. Its history, the landscape, or some plant and animal species living there. Then they grow in their understanding of the site through an interactive game, an experiential activity, or an exercise in critical thinking. Each lesson ends with a final deep dive into the science of that site. Perhaps it's geology, biology, or a conservation tip for the whole family. The right-hand page of each lesson is an intriguingly detailed line illustration depicting that site's landscape and its wildlife. Coloring offers our children and adults a quiet time to reflect and remember the lesson's ideas. At the back of the book, kids find a glossary that defines many terms used in the book that need a fuller description for a third grader. Next to the glossary is our Nature Superstars passport page, which encourages families to visit and explore each of the parks. Icons show what awaits them at each park, such as a swimming area, fossils, geocaching, and ADA access. If they visit every park, they can go online and tell us about their visits and download a Nature Superstars certificate from our very own mascot, Ring T Cats. Here's coloring book project leader, Hays County Master Naturalist, Paula Glover.
Our project builds in 3 pillars of the Texas Master Naturalist Program. From its inception, the book was crafted for outreach events to promote the chapter's work and recruit for our training class. Whole families can learn about local natural resources through the educational components of the book. Finally, the book has strengthened our relationships with partners by expanding and supporting service projects at each site. This project is 100% conceived, written, and produced by Hays County Master Naturalists. I'm really proud of that. 3 years ago, I was the chair of the Promotional Outreach and Diversity Committees. In that capacity, I realized our chapter had minimal presence in the diverse and urban populations along the I-35 corridor. We were preaching to the choir and needed more visibility. I pitched the idea of a coloring book to hand out at our promotional events. I thought, if we can attract the kids with a book, parents will come along. But both my imagination and budget were limited, so I enlisted Melinda Seib, an artist who also volunteers with the chapter's educational programs. She graciously stepped in, and wow, we were off to the races.
Paula came to me in 2021 with a quest to enhance a coloring book about the natural treasures of Hays County. I thought, why not create story illustrations paired with an activity? I researched the natural areas of Hays County, met with project leaders and volunteers for each site. I gathered wildlife surveys. For years, I walked through parks and conservation sites, collected hundreds of photographs, the storylines and illustrations on the biodiversity. I envisioned a tool that brings children outside on a discovery walks to learn the nature of things, no matter the season. In essence, a passport encouraging children to learn and earn a ringtail cat certificate and become a nature superstar. What a wild adventure.
I was the writer for the Go section. Each time our team met, there was a mutual, very high energy and interest level. And one of the most important factors was developing trust with our team, which we did fairly quickly. And that trust enabled us to edit and make suggestions.
I was the writer for the No section. My challenge was to take the wealth of information available on every topic and boil that down to 4 or 5 key bullet points. With their background in education, Suzanne and Kelly were invaluable in helping me choose the right words that would appeal to our audience and bring an element of fun to the project.
I was the writer for the Grove section. As a retired teacher, I've planned many hands-on activities for children. I had the framework for an activity for each site. And then the collaborative nature of our team made each page a product of all our input, which exceeded our expectations. It was a great experience.
Okay, the coloring in an activity book is a great way to get kids outside, to connect with nature, and discover all the wonderful plants and animals that they could see in the parks. I was thrilled to be able to illustrate 2 of our Hays County parks, Kyle and Charro Ranch. At Kyle, it was about migration, ducks flying in, swimming, feeding, diving. And at the Solstice Circle, it was to emphasize seasonal change in grasses and wildlife.
Hopefully the kids can see some of the wildlife depicted in the illustrations and use their imagination when they remember and color the images.
In my drawing of the golden cheek warbler in a juniper tree, it's based on many hikes I've taken in the Spring Lake Natural Area. Of course, not during nesting season. The drawing of the Meadow Center features the wetlands boardwalk along Spring Lake and many of the wildlife that I have seen there.
To cultivate our coloring book for classrooms, I connected the book's content to the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills known as the TEKS. These connections relate the book to lessons that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders are learning in their core curriculum classes. We also promoted vocabulary throughout the book by emphasizing key terms that are defined in kid-friendly words in the glossary.
And my job was to make the book visually appealing so the kids will want to. Each Hays County site that we used is very unique, so the trick was to be concise and consistent from page to page. We used concentric circles on each page to draw their eye to certain points. The fun part for me was designing these little icons that we used throughout the pages, but also on the passport page. The icons will help reinforce the information we're trying to teach them and make it more fun.
And our team is so skilled and nature smart. My editing was mostly for mechanics and concision to fit that layout. We suggest the teams replicating this book always include an editor trained in journalism standards. We used the style sheet of the New York Times.
And finally, our photographers and master naturalists, Mike Davis, Eva Frost, and Betsy Cross, generously offered the perfect pictures to add the final touch.
For greater impact and longevity, we included multiple facets.
We're still working on a Spanish translation, distributing books to schools and libraries, educational programs in the schools with books given to every 3rd grader, future editions and updates. Alternatively, we have been able to implement a website at beautifulhayscounty.org with additional content for parents and teachers. We have handed out about 700 books at outreach and educational events so far. We encourage the sites to use their pages at their events. One spinoff occurred in September. We brought the book to life with the Nature Superstars program. Joanne DePenning, one of our talented trainees and program coordinator, will tell you about it.
Hays County is not just a place. Hays County is an experience. And the Nature Superstars program brought that experience to life this September. Using the activity and coloring book as the curriculum, events held at each site beckoned children to explore Hays County's natural wonders. Our dedicated Master Naturalist volunteers guided them on their journey with Go, Know, and Grow presentations. Their passion and expertise were channeled into every presentation. For children who embarked on this journey, a special keepsake awaited, a beautiful sticker symbolizing the wonders they uncovered and the memories they created. Our volunteers are not just guides, they are stewards of nature. Their personal commitment and expert knowledge ensured that every presentation is informative and inspiring. And as the sun sets on this chapter, we already dream of the next. The feedback from our community, the stories from our young explorers, and the dedication of our volunteers are shaping the future of the Nature Superstars program. Hays County is not just a location, it's a legacy. And through the Nature Superstars program, we're not just exploring nature, but passing on a legacy of love, respect, and wonder for our land.
The volunteer hours for our project are eye-popping, as you can see.
Our site partners have expressed good things about the book. So how can your chapter create their own book? For success, go out and explore your projects. Know as much as you can through research and observation. grow a team based on their profession or passion, show enthusiasm and teamwork. And the final thing always is the dough. Always seek grants, donations, or you can sell the book.
Beautiful Hayes County Coloring and Activity Book mirrors the mission and content of Texas Master Naturalist Training so that children and their families can experience Hayes County's history, diversity, and natural beauty as master naturalists do. Our children begin to know how to be in nature and how to cherish it for a lifetime.
What happened to the music? She didn't have.
It's difficult because we don't hear the special.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you very much.
There are some questions. We've got just 3 minutes left for questions. Great job on the presentation. One of the two questions that revolve around the same thing. What could a chapter expect as a cost to implement the project such as this? And related to that, how was your project financed?
Okay. This is Paula Glover, and our chapter is blessed to have a grant from the Willett Foundation. And so we were able to tap into those funds to get the book published and copyrighted. And so we chose not to charge for the book for a lot of reasons, but to seek grants would probably be your best avenue. You also can scale it back where it's not as expensive to produce.
And so how many did your chapter produce and what was the cost?
We printed about 1,000 books at the beginning, and the cost on those were about $1.40 a piece.
Not bad. It's a good price.
Mm-hmm.
How many pages are in it?
26 pages.
There's a question in the chat. Are the pages available for download online?
Yes, we have those available to our to each of our sites to use as they want to. In the book, we have a QR code that takes it to the website that has the TEACS connection and the resources for teachers. It also has each page, each download for each site there available.
And you mentioned that the project is, or the book is copyrighted. Is that correct?
Yes, that was very important for us to do at the beginning.
Okay. And would you, so anyone from your team, someone had posted a link to your project or the book. So just make sure, if you will check that link and make sure that it's the correct one and it's a good link for us to use and share.
Yes, the one that was submitted. Yes.
Yes.
Do you want me to put that in the chat or?
No, just if you could, there is one that was submitted by another person on the line today in the chat. Just make sure, if you would just check that one, make sure it's fine.
Okay.
And I am so sorry. I think we could talk about all these projects forever, but we do need to move on. Our next chapter, the Rio Brazos chapter, is due to present their project on the Brazos River cleanup, campout, and educational extravaganza. And that's our Rio Brazos chapter. And presenting today is Robert. Was it you?
Yes.
Gotcha. Changing your role. Okay, it's coming over to you.
Okay. Am I on?
Well, there you go.
There we go. Thank you, Michelle, and great presentations from Rio Grande Valley and Hays County. Amazing. I'm Robert Walker, and following our presentation today will be Robert Slaughter, Nancy Halbert, Christina Borgstrom, and Gary Hines to answer your questions. The name of our project, the Brazos River Cleanup, Campout, and Educational Extravaganza. The project has three primary goals: conservation, education, and collaboration. By collaboration, we mean us, the conservation community, us coming together in a peaceful environment to exchange ideas, food, fun, jokes, and our dreams to leave the planet cleaner and more sustainable than we found it.
Hey, Robert, I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. You're sharing your desktop. I didn't know if you had intended to share your slideshow quite yet.
No, it'll be coming up in just a second.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So if you're the kind of person that likes to have fun in the forest, if you're picky on the prairie, wise in the woods, if you like your food in a field of forbs and your dessert in a desert, if you prefer natives to invasives, you're more into ecology than technology, you like your rivers free of trash, tires, chemicals, and physical hazards, and you consider a river run actually fun, then you like being tireless on the Brazos. And we want you to join us in 2024. So stand by to save the world. And they put the Save the World button right next to the Destroy the Earth button. So you have to be careful and be sure you get the right one. I hope.
When John Graves made his river trip through our neck of the Brazos in 1957, the river was still relatively pristine. However, when we flash forward 6 decades, things look considerably different. That degraded river ecology is why the 2017 Rio Brazos training class organized our first ever river cleanup. Several of us had assisted the Friends of the Brazos with their annual spring cleanup. However, the volunteers were too few and the tires too many. Therefore, our big idea was to organize a chapter-led river cleanup to further the impact. The first cleanup had a modest 13 members cleaning a 4-mile stretch of river, but the results were anything but modest. At the end of the day, we had collected approximately 60 tires, 8 large bags of river trash, and a large section of a fiberglass boat. We immediately realized we had a serious and long-term project on our hands and relished the thought we could make a positive environmental impact while at the same time having so much fun.
With the goal of bringing in more chapter members and their friends and family, in 2019, we added Friday and Saturday night campouts. This event culminated with another productive cleanup with help from a Boy Scout troop that camped in the river bottom and made us proud by collecting an additional 50 tires. With the addition of camping and potluck dinners, chapter members had time to really get to know each other. A few games of cornhole and an outdoor movie left us eager to add more activities in the future.
In 2021, chapter members began presenting advanced training classes during the weekend of the cleanup. Raptor demonstrations, learning the monarch life cycle, and bioblitzes kept us busy during the day. Stargazing, mothing, and a nature-themed movie kept us up at night.
With each cleanup, we gained experience with logistics and event planning. This included safely handling more people on the river, where to set up tents, park campers, house people that want to participate but not camp out, and most importantly, how to feed as many as 70 hungry volunteers 3 times a day, plus snacks. In addition to Friends of the Brazos, we included new partners such as Texas Conservation Alliance, Texas Land Conservancy, Brazos Outdoor Center, Lower Brazos River Watch, and the Brazos River Authority.
After 6 years of taking baby steps, this year we felt ready to move out of our comfort zone and invite other Texas Master Naturalist chapters to make an even bigger ecological impact. We asked our neighbors, Cross Timbers, Heart of Texas, Indian Trails, Prairie Oaks, and North Texas chapters to join our event. Shout out to the North Texas chapter who brought the most members. These outstanding chapters came ready to work, to play, and to exchange stories and ideas with like-minded conservationists. Kudos to all the participating chapters who were so much fun. It was like finding long-lost siblings.
Building on everything we learned in the previous years, our 2023 event was bigger and better than ever. We spent Friday setting up camp and worked on the logistics and staging for the river cleanup the next day. We wrote a timely schedule to keep us on track and motivate volunteers with the fun to come. The first official event was a welcome potluck dinner showcasing our naturalist cooking skills. Saturday, we had an early start launching canoes and kayaks on 3 stretches of the river and volunteers on foot patrol along the sandbars. Teams spent from a couple of hours to a whole day on the river to aid in our mission. Amongst the mud and smelly wet clothes, we had fun tipping over canoes, portaging through rock, and enjoying the Brazos River flora and fauna. We even included a little friendly competition. The team with the most tires in the canoe would receive the golden crowbar. Making it back to shore, we worked together loading 143 tires, a trailer full of trash, and maneuvering about 30 boats up steep riverbanks. Back at camp, we kicked off our series of advanced training classes taught by master naturalists and guest biologists. We learned about winged insects from dragonflies out during the day to moths at night. A catered dinner by Friends of the Brazos topped off our river cleaning efforts.
Sunday became our big learning day, full of lectures and field sessions. We learned about river ecology on a riparian plant walk and hunted for mussels in the river. Our instructors guided us through the local geology and how to document its unique plant community on iNaturalist. Let's not forget to mention the orienteering class, so we didn't get lost while exploring the ranch. Throughout the weekend, we did enjoy a little downtime. We played lawn games, relaxed, and took time to get to know each other. The weekend wrapped up on Monday with a hearty breakfast and an early morning hike to find local birds. All too soon, it was time to pack up, clean up, and say our final farewells. Until we meet again on another Texas Master Naturalist mission to save the planet.
We have always strived to be inclusive and work with individuals that share that same philosophy. The cleanup isn't just for those with the ability to paddle a canoe or kayak. We also need drivers to shuttle the river rats, cooks to feed the masses, sign makers, photographers, article writers, lecturers, and someone to be sure lectures don't exceed their allotted time. Okay, that one should be under pitfalls to avoid, along with lessons learned. And one of the most important lessons learned throughout the years, be sure you have a porta potty near the campground. And speaking of porta potties, the cost to rent 4 of those puppies for 4 days is almost $900, for which that grant money would come in handy to support the next year cleanup.
Our project gained visibility through articles in newspapers. Check out this one from the Hood County News, printed following our last cleanup. Additionally, Texas Land Conservancy and Lower Brazos River Watch had nice articles on Facebook. Texas Conservation Alliance allows us to use their website to sign up new participants. And prior to our next cleanup, we plan to draw local support by running articles in additional newspapers.
What did it take to complete the project? The project won't be complete until people stop throwing tires and other trash in the river.
Are you ever gonna finish?
It won't be finished until you stop throwing trash in our rivers.
Every time it floods, new tires are uncovered. It takes people, canoes, kayaks, trucks, trailers, logistic teams, planning teams, food donations, instructors' guides, and river access to bring it all together.
The project has been a great recruiting tool and a way to get new people outside. 3 additional people from the last cleanup intend to join our next training class. It's a great educational tool, offering the opportunity for chapter members to acquire 6 to 8 hours of advanced training from amazing instructors teaching in the field or the river, as the case may be. And depending upon the number of hours you spend cleaning the river, providing logistic support, preparing meals, or conducting lectures, you could acquire 15 to 20 hours of volunteer time.
And here's some interesting facts about our cleanup. Our volunteers have found everything from a computer to a weather balloon, from a real boat to a toy boat. And yes, we are tired of tires. Everything from toy tires to tractor tires, from nearly new tires to retreads on retreaded tires. If it weren't for the Somerville County Transfer Station accepting these tired old tires free of charge to be ground into mulch, we would have to pay $3 for a standard tire and up to $40 for a tractor tire. Let's see, through the years, we have collected around 600 tires. That would have cost us over $1,800 for disposal. Then you add the cost for the weight of 50 to 60 large bags of wet trash, not to mention the miscellaneous items that won't fit in the bag, like fishing rods, T-posts, carpeting, boat hulls, miles of wire and string, highway signs, and traffic guard cones. Oh my. Remind me to send a thank you note to the Somerville County Commissioner.
We believe our mission is synonymous with the Texas Master Naturalist mission. Through our advanced training classes, we are creating a core of well-informed volunteers that will go on to provide education, outreach, and service to others. By cleansing the river of tires and trash, we are managing a natural resource in a beneficial way for communities along the river to enjoy a clean and aesthetically pleasing river. It is good for the wildlife, good for tourism, and good for Texas.
We have big goals for next year. First, request an airboat from the Brazos River Authority to assist with ferrying tires and enlist more people from other chapters to join the cleanup weekend. We would like our project to continue growing and to help other chapters develop similar projects. If other chapters with river access can mimic our success, then river sections start connecting to transform larger lengths of pristine habitat from North Texas all the way to the Gulf. We would love to have the state add "Don't mess with Texas rivers" to the "Don't mess with Texas" mantra. Additionally, we would like to join with Friends of the Brazos River and other conservation groups to work towards extending the John Graves Scenic Riverway from Lake Granbury to Lake Whitney.
These are big goals, but they are achievable by working together. With over 20,000 pounds of tires and trash collected, new members recruited, and new friends and chapters participating, we have already made a measurable impact. In 2024, we would like to extend an invitation to all Texas Master Naturalist chapters to join our river cleanup and explore similar local projects to have an even larger environmental conservation impact.
Never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all the things and all the things I want you to know. Secret I but if you don't want to tell me, I guess I will. Losing all your strong energy. Getting up tall. Oh, the Lord speaks it up. Sure. There are the things I want to know. Secret thought. You don't want to tell me now. It's out there. We go. Turning around. Say tonight. You go. You can take it. It's not.
Okay, I think that was it.
Thank you. I love y'all's humor added to the presentation. So wonderful. We have 3 minutes available for questions. I want to give our judges a chance to ask questions first before we move to some of the questions in the chat. So judges, if you're able to unmute and you want to ask questions or you have a question to ask, go ahead. Or if you want to text chat that in to us, we can moderate it as well.
I was going to ask what they did with the tires, but as I was typing it, he answered it. So,
Judges, do you have any other questions?
I would say our joke on the tires, and we've been asked that many times, so we usually say we save them up, take them to the 67 bridge, throw them back in so that we'll have plenty to pick up next year. That's not true, though. They are taken to the dump and they're ground up.
Yeah, I'm just
That's
amazed
good.
at the number of tires every year.
Oh, it's amazing. And every time there's a flood, we end up with more.
And Robert, I saw in the chat someone asked how long of a river stretch we covered.
Good question. We hit hard on the 17-mile stretch between the 67 bridge going into Glen Rose and the Brazos Point Bridge. But we've also gone north of the 67 bridge, so about 25 miles total.
It's fully within your chapter's area?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Lots of questions about when is the next event? Have you planned that yet?
We're going to have a sign up at the state meeting, and assuming you all will let us put a banner out there and a sign up, we're going to get a lot of people for next year. It's going to be, I think it's the 17th of May. We have done it previous couple on Memorial Day, but to get that airboat, you can't get it during a holiday. So we're moving it up one weekend to see if we can get the Brazos River Authority to let us use their airboat.
Michelle,
So all the chapters along the affected river are they'd like to be receiving for more information on it.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we'll get it to them.
Do you have a web page or a website or a Facebook page?
We not for this project.
Not for the project, no.
There was like a lot of things that scrolled by about like 6 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 1 week out. Where did that information come from?
It came from my memory, so it may not be all right. But yeah, we made that up. I mean,
So you were scrolling on like your laptop, just a document that you had put together.
Right.
Yeah, it was just a checklist that we can use to be sure we hit all the bases.
And that's something we plan to do, Michelle, now that we've put this video together, is on our website. We want to post the video so other folks can come and look at it, and we can make those resources available as far as Robert's fantastic checklist. And we can advertise for sign up for next year's event on that as well. And our chapter does have a Facebook page, Rio Brazos chapter of the Texas Master Naturalist, that we can provide that information on.
Good cover, Christina.
I'm sorry, I don't know
Thank
if
you.
it's too late to ask this question. It's kind of a general question. What kind of interactions with private landowners did y'all have during these projects?
I'm sorry, we do need to move on to the next presenter. Let's hold that question and come back to that.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do that.
And our next presentation is going to be from the Galveston Bay Area chapter, presenting on their Bayside Regional Park, from fish farm to natives. And remind me.
It's me, Sandy Parker.
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
Boy, those were some amazing projects. I am blown away, and it makes me so proud to be part of the Master Naturalist program. Y'all are just amazing. Get emotional.
Now you can control them.
It's hard not to get emotional and just like from sitting in our seats as program coordinators, it just makes me so happy. This is like such a great day.
It's amazing. It really is. Okay, so should I start now?
Yes, ma'am. You're
Okay,
ready.
I started my little timer. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Sandy Parker, and I am with the Galveston Bay Area chapter, and the title of my presentation is Fish Farm to Natives, Bayside Regional Park. Let's see why it's not advancing.
You may need to hover over the left, bottom left corner.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. My buttons aren't working. Okay, so just to give you a overview of the project, Bayside Region, and I'm going to have to talk really fast because I have a lot of slides to get through, so I apologize. Bayside Regional Park is a 64-acre park, and it's located in a very underserved community in Bay Cliff, Texas. The Galveston County Parks Department acquired the property, and it was previously a red drum fish farm. You'll see a little red asterisk there. I have those throughout the presentation where I think there are some interesting facts to bring to your attention. When we started, the park was basically a blank slate of Bermuda grass everywhere. It has 2 large ponds, a maintenance shed. Later, the county built a community center, parking area, and a playground. Mark Fox, who was a well-known native plant landscaper in our area, notified myself and another chapter member about the possibility for native gardens at the site. So our members met with the county to review their conceptual plans for the park, and ultimately we received approval to move forward with the project from our chapter board. So just right up front, these are the numbers. We have 2,671 hours logged into VMS by chapter members. Let's see, we have 35 people involved. We've planted 1,510 plants, 80 species, 19 trees were planted. We have 2 grants were obtained, including one for a water feature. We have One Eye Naturalist project that includes 722 observations when I prepared this presentation, 267 species, 186 bird species in eBird, that equates to about 327 checklists, 4 outreach events, 2 Nature Fest events. One's going to happen this Saturday, October 7th, 1 Senior Nature Fest, and 2 Bluebird box building events. This is the conceptual design from the county of the park. You can see the wetlands here, and our area is right up here. There's the maintenance building. I have some other drawings that I'll show you. This is a drawing from Google Earth showing our original acre prairie we asked for. So our goals of the project were to install a 1-acre native plant area. We wanted to include native gardens, create a native prairie, plant trees along a pathway that the county is planning to build. We only wanted to plant natives found on the Floyd Waller 1974 plant survey. I'll talk about that in a minute. Our goal was to create a iNaturalist project. We wanted to conduct outreach activities for the seniors and the community, and hopefully form a youth or junior master naturalist birding group. So how did we implement the project? Well, we formed a steering committee to help plan the project. We propagated plants, we purchased seeds and plants, we developed soil amendments, we applied for grants, organized all the volunteers, conducted outreach activities, planted trees along the future pathway. So we wanted to install native plants in a 1-acre area of the park, and that included installing a native garden consisting of a demonstration pollinator garden and a demonstration prairie garden. We also planted native trees, and we're in the process of creating a native prairie. So this is our plan. You can see up here in the yellow is the tree area. There will be a pathway there someday. And D is the half-acre prairie, and A and B are the pollinator and the prairie exhibit gardens, and E is the maintenance shed. So how did we conduct the project? Well, first we had to develop an MOU with the county, a memorandum of understanding. We formed steering and planning committees, and we got a hard copy report from Floyd Waller. Many of you may know his name. He's a well-known botanist in Texas, and he did a survey back in 1974 for one of our local power plants. And he identified all the plant communities in the Bay Cliff and San Leon area. And he found that 5 plant communities existed: prairie, marsh, salt flats, forest, and beaches. And his report was contained 623 plants. So we wanted this garden to be sort of a repository of plants from the local community, since the area, like all areas, is being overdeveloped. And so we took that hard copy report and we divided it up among our chapter members, and we transcribed it. We transferred all the information into an Excel spreadsheet, and we updated the nomenclature for the most recent scientific names of each of the plants. So this is just a screenshot of his the title page of his report, and then this is what we ended up with, pages from the report. We, like I said, divided it up, put the botanical name, updated it, have some other information. So we have a whole spreadsheet of all the plants. And so one of our chapter members stepped up to design the native demonstration in pollinator, the pollinator and prairie gardens. And what she used as her Bible, if you will, is Planting in a Post-Wild World by Thomas Rainier and Claudia West. So we prepared the gardens, garden beds, in order to hopefully reduce future weeds and keep that Bermuda grass out. We collected local seeds, we propagated plants, we obtained grants, we purchased seeds, we planted plants and trees, and we installed a border along these 2 gardens from pavers that we found that were donated on Facebook, and then we supplemented those with some purchase pavers. Our partners, in addition to the Galveston County Parks, are the Native Plant Society, the Clear Lake Chapter, and the Audubon Society. So as far as the demonstration garden, the guidelines for the garden are the prairie side is 12 feet wide and the pollinator side is 8 feet wide. We have 4 35 feet zones. And again, planting plants exclusively from the Floyd Waller report. We wanted seasonality, interest that could be shown in all seasons, like color or textures. And then we have layers in the garden, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And as you walk through the garden, the plants get taller as you progress from zone 1 to zone 4. We wanted to have a bench on each side of the garden so people could sit and enjoy it. And we wanted, we have an example of each species labeled, which is located near the sidewalk so people will know what they're looking at. And we wanted to plant in mass, both for interest and for ease of maintenance. So this is Patty Pennington, our chapter member, and these are her large scale drawings that she did. And then this is talking a little bit about the layers. So the structural layers are your tall forbs and grasses that give you an anchor. And I talked a little bit about the seasonality. You want to have themes with flowers or textures, something that will draw your interest in every single season. You need some ground cover. We have a lot of frog fruit, and it helps with erosion and suppressing weeds. And then those dynamic fillers, which are annuals or short-lived perennials, and they produce a lot of seed. So what Patty did is she put everything into a spreadsheet again. So you can see the first one is Hooker's Oringo, and that is located in Zone 2 Prairie, and it's a dynamic filler. So we have that for each of the plants that we planted. And then this is our seasonality assessment. So this shows you our first plant is sneezeweed, and it's a yellow flower, and you find it blooming from late spring to late summer. So we monthly we do a seasonality assessment just to see if things have changed and moved around and what's blooming when, so that we can make sure that this is accurate for our garden. This is another picture of excuse me, of Patty's plans, and then this is how we calculated and kept track of how much we planted. So again, the first line is the Hooker's Oringo. It's in Zone 2 Pollinator, and we planted 15 plants. So we have that for every plant that we planted. And again, this is a summary of the demonstration garden. We planted 1,510 plants with 80 species, and then by layer, structural layers 20 species, seasonal layer 36. You can read the slide. Well, from the fish farm was scraped away. So we didn't have some, we had some pretty poor soil to deal with. You can see the pH is 9.7, very little organic matter. It needed a lot of fertilizers. So I don't know why this is. And then, do y'all see two different screens, or is that just me? Anyway, so what we thought, it looks okay? Okay. So what we started with, this is a photo showing the county built a bridge for us, and then they built a concrete walkway, but they filled it in with bank sand, and we weren't really prepared for that. So we used, one of our chapter members suggested adding alfalfa pellets, put those down first as a slow release nitrogen source. And this is a picture of our demonstration garden crew, some of the people helping. So we added, once we put the pellets down, then we put down newspaper and cardboard to suppress the weeds. And we ended up adding 4 to 6 inches of mulch to hold the moisture and to break down the cardboard. So this is what it looked like after we put everything down. We have a little sign, and we watered it in for a season or two so that the cardboard would break down so we could plant. One of our chapter members came up with this witch's brew that each plant, as we were planting, each plant got a little bit of this wonderful witch's brew with mycorrhizae, rock dust, microlife, and humic acid. And then these are some pictures of us planting. This is what it looked like in the beginning, and then we're installing the border. Here's another early picture before we put the border in. And then this is last spring. And another picture of the border, and you can see the bench. And then this is the native plant exhibit sign that we have at the garden that includes the logos from all of our partners. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about grants. So we both in March of 2020 and 2021, we received $400 from Bring Back the Monarchs. And so we use that to buy seeds and plants. And then in August of 2022, we received a $1,000 grant from the Great Texas Birding Classic for a water feature for the birds and wildlife. And this is a picture of the water feature. The gentleman in the back is one of our partner members. He's with the Native Plant Society, and he carved out the sandstone rock there and put in the water drip. This fall, we'll be planting plants, native plants around that for cover. I'm going to talk a little bit about the half-acre site, the prairie site. Let's see. Oops. So our design criteria was we needed it to be easy to maintain. Invasive control is the first thing that we had to do because we have a lot of invasive grasses. And then these are some other design considerations. Do we want to put in borders, informational signs, benches? We're thinking about it'd be nice to have a gazebo in the future so that when we're out teaching, we'll have some shade because, you know, it is a prairie and there's no shade. And hopefully we can get the county to put in some pathways for us of concrete. In the interim, we're mowing those areas, and all the plantings will be from the Floyd Waller list. So shout out to the Coastal Prairie chapter. They hosted us at their wonderful Seabourn Creek Nature Park. We had a fantastic time. We toured all the areas, and we learned some great information from them. So thank you so much. Some of the things that we learned is they said optimal placement for planting grasses in the prairie is 18 inches to 2 feet apart. And they suggested we plant gallon pots and herbicide those areas 3 times before you plant. This just shows that the county installed water for us, which is very needed, especially, you know, during the drought. We have a significant amount of Bermuda grass and other invasive grasses. And we originally thought, okay, we'll plant native grasses. And then we sort of got off tangent. And we thought, well, maybe we can plant cover crops to do some nitrogen fixing, use solarization with plastic sheeting to kill the weeds. We use some daikon radishes, some Australian peas, some cereal rye. Well, it really didn't work very well, so we abandoned that early on. And then we put down the plastic sheeting, which really does work well, but you need to keep it on for at least 2 growing seasons. And the problem that we had is we're very close to the bay. We get some really terrific winds that blow through there. So no amount of staples or putting pavers down on top of the plastic kept it down. So we're back to herbiciding before we plant. So in 2022, we planted 73 grasses in an area about 20 by 30. And then we have another planting plan for this, hopefully this fall in a 20 by 20 area. And we're growing like 200 individual grasses. We're planting the early successional grasses listed here. And we have an iNaturalist project. Here's the banner for the project. These are the observations. And here's some more screenshots. And I've already kind of gone over this. We have 2,671 hours logged into VMS, 35 people involved. We have members from the community and partner member from the Native Plant Society led a bluebird nesting box building workshop for both the county employees and the public. And we've had several members of the local community wander by, and they help us with weeding. And one woman watered for us one season. These are our outreach events. We had a community nature fest, a senior nature fest in a bluebird box nesting building. The senior and the nature fest, we have booths from local organizations. The seniors made seed balls. That's Julie, our sponsor. And here's our lessons learned. Be ready for unanticipated setbacks that come with working with partners. Make sure that you know all the requirements up front. It took us about 2 years to work the MOU through the process. We needed more time for watering to get the plants established than we thought. And these are 2 great ways to water. The water tractor on the right, we ended up going with. It's fantastic. You can use it even on grasses, areas you don't have to have it on a concrete. On the left is called the water sled. That worked great, but you have to move it. We had a little killdeer nesting, so every time we moved it, we disturbed her. So now we have that out in the prairie. And trees are very labor and maintenance intensive. And there's our contact information, and I leave you with a photo of a sleeping bee. So thank you very much. I'll take questions.
You whizzed through that like a pro.
And I am so sorry. I had to walk. So I had to just.
Yeah, 3 minutes left for questions. Great job.
Okay, thanks.
We've got a couple of them in the chat. One of them comes from one of our judges, and you may have answered a little bit already about it. How will the public be invited to visit this area?
Oh, okay. So for it's a park that's open to everyone. We're trying to get the public more involved. So what we've done for our Nature Fest is we advertised that we're having the Nature Fest in the local paper called the Sea Breeze. So we advertised it in August and September, and then we've sent like a blast out to all of the local schools in the area so that they know that it's coming up. And then we put flyers out, and a few days before the event, we'll put signage, leading people to the event. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. So there's a quick question in the chat. Could you share the Witch's Brew slide again at the end?
Sure.
And then while you're navigating to that, there's another question. How did your team manage drought conditions and restrictions?
Well, timing on this project has just been, I don't know, the universe just really smiled down on us because we got all the plants established during the 2021 and 2022 time period. So this year when we were in drought, we did a little bit of weeding. We met like weekly with our team in the evening when it was cooler, and I would just give a little bit of water to each zone as much as I could while we were there. It really did not get very much water at all during the drought, and it is thriving now that we've got a little bit of rain. Ashy sunflowers just bloomed throughout the entire drought. I mean, they were just the happiest little things. And so we were very lucky. I don't think we've really lost anything. Maybe a little bit of blue mist, which, as you know, it'll grow back because it's just crazy like that. So it's really important, I think, to do the watering to get those plants established, but they're natives. That's the beauty of them. Once you get them established, they don't need very much water at all. So, and they proved that to us during this drought.
So another question is asking about the solarization. If you were able to keep the plastic down, do you think the solarization would have worked?
Yes, and I actually have experience with it. I'm a volunteer on the Atwater's Prairie Chicken projects at NASA, and we had the deep-rooted sedge was just invaded those pens. So they gave me a couple of pens, and they let me put plastic down for 2 growing seasons, and we've not had a resurgence of that invasive deep-rooted sedge in either one of those pens. Maybe, like 1 or 2 plants, but if you clip off the seeds and you get ahead of it. So it really does work. I would say it's better in small controlled environments, like in the pens, or if you have a small garden, definitely try it out. It really does work. And they found that using clear plastic now is better than black plastic. I think that's, yeah. So, yes, it works.
Sandy, I need to open up the entire session for some remaining questions.
Okay, thank you.
There are some questions in chat for you if you're able to go and reply to those. One's talking about your continued plans. Will you continue planting and let the native spread naturally? One asks about quantities for the witch's brew and things like that. So if you're able to answer any of those questions in the chat, and then I'd like to open up questions from the judges for all of the presenters and panelists today. So Susan asks, and this goes back to the Rio Grande Valley presentation, do you have more information for the Rio Grande Valley chapter on your project and milkweed growing methods you used? So, Susan she said you could reply right back to her, or
Sure, I'm happy to answer that. We did some investigating with some of the local growers and found that one of the methods that works really great is aeration. You use an air stone in a jar with water. So seeds basically need water and air. And within 3 or 4 days, we can get radicals to form, which is the beginning of the root structure. We also tried cold stratification, which requires them to be put in a refrigerated environment over a period of time and then placed out to start. Seed mats work great. Lighting as well. There is a big learning curve as far as just placing them out in the elements because butterflies don't know the difference. They have to be protected when they're young like that. So we also did straight broadcasting, planting, sowing directly into the soil. So we have several methods that we found to be quite successful down here in deep South Texas, where it's very hot and we get very few really cold dips down here. I put a link in the chat if someone wants more specific details or instructions. We have some videos available, and we can add another slide when we send the PDF out.
Thank you, Susan. Any other questions from our judges?
I have one for the Galveston Bay area chapter. I was just curious what kind of herbicides they used.
Roundup. I say that so enthusiastically. Yeah.
Okay, judges, don't be shy. This is your chance for any lingering questions. Ask any lingering questions of all the presenters and present chapters today.
I had a question for the Rio Brazos chapter. Have you considered in conjunction with your camp out that weekend, having the waste management company offer like free turn-in, people be able to turn in their tires without having to pay for it. I have a feeling that sometimes people just throw their tires off a bridge because they don't want to go pay to have it recycled.
Yeah, I don't think I caught all of that, but what we do is go to the Somerville County Transfer Station dump, and they allow us free of charge to being a nonprofit to dump the tires there, and then they're taken and mulched into playgrounds, whatever they can use them for.
Were you asking if would allow other non-participant people or people to just bring old tires to throw them in our bin for disposal? Is that the question?
Yes, or to have the transfer station itself, you know, kind of have an amnesty that weekend in honor of what you're doing, to encourage people not to throw things off a bridge.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And we will contact the Somerville County Transfer Station about that. And yeah, hopefully all the chapters going north and south of us will do the same, and we can get rid of some of these unsightly and dangerous pieces of trash.
It's a great project that you're doing. I think it's phenomenal that you're able to create such camaraderie while you're doing such fabulous work. Thank you.
I
Thank
have a
you.
question for the Rio Brazos chapter. I think I'd put in the chat room at the end and forgotten about it. What kind of interactions did you have with the private landowners along the river?
We didn't have a lot of interaction once we get on the river. Our area is pretty remote. You don't see but maybe half a dozen houses during that entire 17-mile stretch. You know, we put in, one of the chapter members has property on the river, so we can put in there, and we also take out there. We put in underneath the 67 bridge. We take out underneath the Brazos Point Bridge. And then there's one other location that I guess you could call it public access. You can pay like $20 a day and camp out there. So we utilize that for both putting in and taking out also.
I guess what I'm wondering about, and maybe this isn't even possible because I know I've kayaked along the riverways in our area, in terms of letting the landowners know what y'all are doing, might have, you know, create an opportunity for some kind of a public awareness of, you know, some landowners are great about their riparian areas and others are just completely clueless. So it's nice that that actually provides you an opportunity for them to know that anybody even cares to do that, that it's important.
You know, that's a great question. This year we did run into someone that has property downriver from us, and they actually, this is not good, but they actually had a couple of ATVs down on the sandbar. And so we asked them if they would start pulling out tires for us. And sure enough, they pulled out about 20 tires.
Okay, well, that's good. I think it's great.
Oh, they helped us unload also.
Yeah. Very good.
That other ranch?
Yeah, and Nancy's reminded me at the Brazos Point Bridge, it's a really tough takeout, but the landowner just upstream from there will allow us to take out on her property, and she actually was down there with an ATV that came in very handy to pull the tires up and get them into a dump bed.
Thanks.
Just not a lot of neighbors.
So Mary Pearl put a question in the chat for the Hays County chapter. Have you worked with local teachers to share your coloring pages alongside an educational Master Naturalist presentation, either by the chapter or by local partners? What is your relationship with your local ISDs?
We have a couple of projects that, like Wimberley Outdoor Educators, that we're working with, that they're doing some educational programs in October, later this month that we're probably going to share our books with. We also have a in November, we're going to be working with the Meadows Center to, they are going to be having field trips, third grade field trips coming to their center. And we will be handing books out to each of those third graders and to, uh, and then doing, bringing our book to life again through the Nature Superstars. And then, so those are the plans still. We've handed out quite a number of books at summer camps with our sites this summer. And
What was the total number that you handed out again so far?
we have about 700 that have been handed out so far to kids. Yeah.
Thank you, Paula.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions?
Hello, this is Todd Sink. I got a question for each of the chapters. We saw some numbers on chapter participation. If each of the chapters could quickly give us, just for the judges scoring, approximately how many members in each chapter participated, and what's the active membership of your chapter? Because some chapters are larger than others, and I'm not real sure on chapter size on all these.
For Hays County, we had this year with the project specifically, as it's been going on for a while, but it became its own project in January. From January till now, we've had 61 volunteers participate in all of our activities, and our membership is about 175.
For Rio Brazos, our total membership is only about 95, but we have right about 50 or 60 people participate in the cleanup, at least the last couple of years. The first year was only 13 of us, so it's grown tremendously.
For the Galveston Bay Area chapter, I think Pam's I think we have 200 members. Pam, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And we had 35 that logged in their hours into VMS. Now, what I'm finding, I shouldn't probably admit this, but not everybody is logging their hours into VMS. But anyway, 35 officials in the VMS. So.
For the Rio Grande Valley chapter, we have approximately 157 active members, and we have total volunteers about 34. Approximately 23 of those are actual Texas Master Naturalists, and the rest are volunteers from within the community.
Thank you.
I want to say off of that note, just hearing from each of these projects, again, the emotions to be able to be even associated with the impacts that you guys are doing is just so phenomenal. But I think my biggest takeaway, and I put this in the chat from all of the chapter presentations today, is the work with partners. You'll all rely heavily on your community of partners, network of neighboring chapters, network of like-minded organizations and individuals and cities and county offices. To see that is just phenomenal. That is really the impact of your program, is that partner network that you're building. Thank you, guys.
So just to wrap everything up and give our judges a little bit of a break, thank you everyone for your presentations today. The work that you put into not only the projects all year long, but the work you put into the presentation and making that available and giving it today. Thank you for everything. Like I said before, this is just one of my favorite TMN Tuesdays because of the chance we get to see all the great projects that are going on. And just a reminder that every chapter has this opportunity to present a project of your choice and compete in the project fair every year. So chapters that didn't present today, keep that in mind for next year as well. And lastly, we'll be announcing the winners of the project fair and the project grants, the small grants that go with it, at the annual meeting on Sunday. So thank you everyone for attending today.
Thank you.